Part 18. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 171. Ms. Zhang, I think you have gone astray. Zhang Ning's eyes widened. Didn't he marry An Fang Fang? No, no. Gao Yang shook his head repeatedly. How could An Fang Fang's reputation be so bad? How could anyone marry her? Even if she married her without telling the man, when the Dongchuang incident happened, there would be another enemy. An's shopkeeper didn't, so I can't tell. He sent An Fang Fang to a nunnery. Can An Fang Fang agree to this? Zhang Ning was even more puzzled. He was a man who wanted to do anything for heaven and earth, but how could he be a nun peacefully? It's just a big joke. Gao Yang sipped his saliva and said with a smile, she didn't agree with it and didn't do anything. Now her injury hasn't been cured yet. She can't do anything except lie on the bed and curse continuously with her mouth open. And Quilang found a cargo ship heading north directly carried the person aboard, saying that he would send her out of Kuzhu Prefecture, let her become a monk in a nunnery in Baidi, and give the nunnery some sesame oil money, so that she would never come back again. Zhang Ning nodded thoughtfully. Gao Yang added, actually, I think his arrangement is quite good. And Fang Fang is not a fuel-efficient lamp. I don't know what kind of trouble she will cause if she stays here. Besides, An Yangren can't suppress her at all. If she keeps doing this, if we go down, An Yangren's little family will be broken up. Zhang Ning understood, so he stopped mentioning it and asked instead, how should Qian Wen be judged? Gao Yang looked stern and clenched his fists tightly. This kind of murderer must be executed by Kaiu Hao. I think it's too easy for him. And his accomplice is that woman. She was Lao Tian's best friend. Lao Tian was dying before entrusting Qian Wen to her. This woman is not a good person, so she cannot really take care of Qian Wen, but she has something in Lao Tian's hands. Lao Tian told Qian Wen that she had to help Qian Wen escape. Handle. Gao Yang nodded slightly. She is the informant of Yinfan village, and she earns some shady money. This time, Yinfan village assassinated the imperial envoy, and she also contributed. The county magistrate is vigorously encircling Yinfan village, and it is related to Yinfan village. No one can be spared. Lao Tian threatened the woman with this matter, so she had to learn from it. This time he happened to be arrested together, and he also learned a lot from her, which was an unexpected surprise. Zhang Ning listened without comment. Before leaving, Gao Yang asked casually, there is also the matter of Qian. This time she took the initiative to expose the relationship between Qian Wen and Lao Tian. She has made meritorious service in the imperial examination fraud case. It stands to reason that she can be punished and released early, but because she has an affair with you. During the festival, the magistrate asked me to ask if she should be released in advance. If you don't agree, the magistrate can compensate her from other places. Somewhere else. Zhang Ning was suddenly curious. Gao Yang nodded, you can also give a reward, but adults are better at living. 1 penny would like to be broken into 2, so I will try my best not to give any money. Zhang Ning's mouth twitched sharply, and she was speechless. You can do whatever you think is appropriate anyway, she has nothing to do with our village anymore. Gao Yang breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, don't worry, Ms. Zhang, even if she needs to be released early, it won't be that fast. She will have to wait until the autumn. After Gao Yang left, Zhang Ning thought about it and went directly to the workshop to find Li. Anyang, I think Da Ya is now quite old and can be considered a family member. Li looked at Zhang Ning in surprise, stepped forward, and lowered her voice, why are you suddenly concerned about Da Ya's marriage? Is there something going on? Li's nerves have been frightened by the successive major events recently. In addition, Zhang Ning is well informed and never talks nonsense. Once she opens her mouth, Li will think too much. Zhang Ning knocked on the table and told her that Qian might be released early, I haven't even said a word yet, Auntie, please don't tell anyone. I'm worried that Jian won't be able to return to Jian's house after she gets out, and he might come to us again. The village is in turmoil, and if you can't make it happen, you will definitely have a child. Seeing that Daya has reached her age, if she doesn't care about finding someone to marry Daya, you won't have any place to cry. Li was shocked. Don't tell me, that Stinky is really capable of doing such a fatal thing. No, I have to go talk to my second brother, and Daya's marriage can't be delayed any longer. As she spoke, Mrs. Li sat down again with a sad face, but I don't have a suitable candidate. Your father-in-law said that neither Yang San's grandson nor Yang Logo's grandson are suitable. I see that there is no more suitable person in our village. I was blinded after leaving the village, so I had to find a matchmaker, but can I listen to what the matchmaker said? Zhang Ning knew that what Li said was the truth. He thought that Yang Dia had never done anything bad except for being ignorant and bullying her children before. He was not a bad person. In addition, he was diligent and had been working hard with his sister to earn money. Money, her perception of her was okay. Well, let me ask an acquaintance to help me inquire. If there is no suitable one in our village, I suggest that she find her husband's family farther away. It is best to have a family with many strong men and a sensible family. What do you think? Ms. Li looked delighted and was about to nod when Yang Dia suddenly appeared at the door, her eyes still red. What's wrong? Why are you crying? Li ran out immediately. Zhang Ning also followed. Yang Dia was sobbing outside the workshop. Grandma, uncle, I don't want to marry far away, I don't want to leave you, with you. This is not a big deal. Why are you still crying? Ms. Li felt distressed. Even Zhang Ning couldn't bear to see her. If you don't want to marry far away, then marry far away. There's nothing to cry about. Yang Dia's voice was choked with sobs, but I want to stay in our village and don't want to leave the village. Zhang Ning looked at Li. There was nothing she could do about it. Ms. Li frowned and said, Daya, listen to what Grandma said. The men in our village who are suitable for you have too many people in their families and it is not appropriate for you to marry them. Be good and listen to Grandma. We are not looking for them in the village. Yang Dia became anxious and pointed to the workshop next door. Who said there is no such thing? There are several unmarried people over there who are still in our village. I can marry them. Who? Li Shi blinked fiercely, unable to react for a moment. Zhang Ning covered her mouth in surprise. Daya, you mean the Fang brothers? Yang Dia lowered his head. Li was so anxious that she almost cursed. Zhang Ning quickly signaled her to calm down and led them away. Li scolded her with her hands on her hips, hating that iron cannot be made into steel. What are you thinking? The oldest of the 4 Fang brothers is several years older than your father, and the youngest is almost 30. He is more than enough to be your uncle. No matter who you marry, you will be laughed at by the whole village. Yang Dia raised her head with tears in her eyes, and tears rolled down her eyes. Grandma, my father's legs can't do heavy work, and he is still young. If I marry far away, all the burden of the family will fall on Arya. We are getting married in the next year. What will happen to my father and Fugui when we are all married? What will happen to our family? I have long thought about marrying the Fang brothers. They have no land in our village, so they will definitely not have any problem with me taking care of my parents' family. This is no different from recruiting a son-in-law. What's the matter with having one more person to support the facade? Is it better for him to get ahead than for me to marry far away? Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 172. But this is a lifelong thing after all. If the Fang brothers were younger, I could still agree. They are too big. Li frowned tightly, but it was undeniable that she had begun to waver in her heart. Yang Dia looked at Li and Zhang Ning again. Grandma, and, even if you find someone of similar age to marry me, I may not be able to get along with his family. It won't be trivial then, the whole place is in pieces, and I can't even ask my mother-in-law to make the decision, so what's the point of getting married like that? After all, Jiangning came from time travel and has a relatively strong receptive ability. From Yang Dia's perspective, this choice is indeed more reliable than marrying far away, and it can definitely guarantee her a comfortable life after marriage. However, the two families have been divorced, so she is not suitable. Express your opinion. Ms. Li was still struggling. Please let me think about it carefully. Think about it carefully. Obviously, what Yang Dia said today had a great impact on her. Waiting for Yang Dia to go to work, Li took Jiangning aside and asked in a low voice, "What is going on with the four Fang brothers? Tell me carefully." Jiangning had no choice but to tell everything he had learned. The brothers were really poor in the past, and they started to have some spare money when they started working here. The four brothers have been through hard times. They live a very frugal life. When their clothes and pants are torn, they mend them again and again. They are reluctant to spend money to buy new ones. They can save a few taels of silver throughout the year. Each of them probably has more than a dozen taels of silver in savings now. Li's eyes suddenly brightened a lot. Doesn't that mean they can buy land and build houses? Jiangning nodded. Logically speaking, this is true, but I don't know what they think about whether they want to go back to their hometown. I'll go ask. Li said that the wind was like the rain, and she ran away immediately, and Jiangning couldn't stop her. The four Fang brothers are now burning shell ashes. After work, they go to the next door to smash adobe bricks. Their working hours are staggered with those of the villagers. They rarely interact with the Li family. Unexpectedly, when they see Li family running here, Fang Muzhu immediately asked, "Auntie, is there something wrong?" Ms. Li was confused and didn't know how to speak. First she asked them if they were tired from working, and then asked them how they felt. In short, she had nothing to say, which somewhat hindered their work. Fang Muzhu gave a helpless smile and said, "Auntie, if you have anything to do, just tell me." Li Shi smiled sarcastically and asked weakly, "Have you ever thought about buying land and building a house in our village?" The four brothers looked at each other, a little surprised. Fang Muchuan said directly, "Auntie, you want to sell the land?" Li shook her head repeatedly, "I just want to ask you what your plans are for the future." "Ha ha ha, is it possible that Madam still wants to be a matchmaker for some of our brothers?" Fang Muchuan was just joking. Seeing Li's seriousness, he was instantly shocked. "Really?" Li didn't say anything, and just said, "I just want to ask you what your plans are in the future? Will you continue to live here and work for my eldest daughter-in-law? And then return to your hometown?" Fang Muzhu reacted quickly and sighed, "Returning to our roots after falling leaves? We have been away from home since we were young. We can't even remember where our parents are buried. Why should we go back to our hometown? But we didn't want to buy land here, and now we are like this. Very good. If my aunt really acts as a matchmaker for us brothers, it's not impossible for us to buy land and settle here. To put it bluntly, we didn't dare to think about it before, haha." The attitude was already very clear. Li was confused for a while before looking at the youngest square wooden mat among the four brothers. "How old are you this year?" Fang Muxi didn't expect that Mrs. Li was coming for him. He was flattered and stammered, 28. "Is there a girl you like?" Fang Muxi's head shook like a rattle. "Do you have any bad habits, for example, eating too much, gambling, etc.? Fang Muxi was a little angry. "Auntie, I have never done anything like that, please don't slander me." Ms. Li was not angry, but nodded and said, "If I marry my eldest granddaughter to you, will you?" "What?" Fang Muxi was confused. The other brothers of the Fang family were also dumbfounded. They thought that Mrs. Li might have told them that she was a widow, but they never expected that it was her eldest granddaughter. The girl seemed to be only 15 or 16 years old, and she was still a young girl. How could pie fall from the sky? Fang Muzhu was the first to come to his senses and hurriedly stepped forward and asked, "Auntie, no, Grandma, does your granddaughter like my brother?" This title changed so quickly that Li didn't even react, but she still explained Yang Dia's situation. They are all in the same village, and you know their family situation. She just wants to find someone from the same village now. You can help your parents' family in the future. Of course, the help that the child refers to is helping your parents' family with work, not caring about the money the man earns, if you can accept it. Li gritted her teeth and clenched her fists. Just go to my house to propose marriage. After explaining the matter, Mrs. Li left the yard without looking back, leaving the four Fang brothers looking at each other. Everyone looked at Fang Muxi. "Fourth, what do you think?" Fang Muxi still hasn't figured it out yet. "Eldest brother, second brother, and third brother, none of you have a family yet." Me. Fang Muzhu slapped him on the head. "What are you? If one of the four of us brothers can marry and have children, our Fang family will not be the only one. It is a good thing. This opportunity is rare and cannot be missed. Say yes." The second child, Fang Muchuan, frowned, but the other party asked the fourth child to help his mother's family all the time. What's the difference between this and becoming a wife? The third child, Fang Muofan, was speechless and said, "Second brother, it doesn't matter even if you are getting married. In our situation, it is almost impossible to marry a yellow-flowered girl. Besides, they didn't say they wanted the fourth child to be married. They are just helping each other. As long as it's not too much, it's too much. I think I can agree to it." Fang Muzhu nodded. "I think so too. I'll go to town later, and I'll go to my grandma to marry her tomorrow. By the way, we've also saved money, so we might as well buy a piece of land in the village and build a house. Fourth son, just buy it in the west of the village, and the three of us will buy it in the east of the village. We will be close to each other and can take care of each other." In fact, after his boss became the emperor's conferred wife, he had thought about settling down in Rongsha village. However, the four brothers were all bachelors, so he was not so anxious about the matter. Now he could take advantage of this opportunity. Get this done. That afternoon, Fang Muzhu took Fang Muzhu to Jiangning and explained his intention. Jiangning was not surprised at all by the Fang brothers' decision, but he still talked about the Qian family. Fang Muzhu sincerely thanked him. "Master, we know what you said. Don't worry, our brothers won't cause trouble, nor are we afraid of it, and we won't disturb you." Jiangning liked Fang Muzhu's transparency and said to himself, "Since you want to buy land, then buy half an acre on the west side of the village next to Dia's house. You can decide how much you want to buy on the east side of the village. I will tell the village chief later. It's not a big deal." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 173. Fang Muzhu bowed 3 times gratefully. Early the next morning, Fang Muzhu was going to take Fang Muxi to the town to buy things. Before he left the workshop, the village chief came with his hands behind his back. "Your boss told me yesterday that half an acre of land was enclosed for you in the west of the village. There is an acre enclosed in the east of the village. If anyone has time, I will take you there to take a look. It will take 2 days to get the land deed." The four Fang brothers were pleasantly surprised. Fang Muzhu asked, "Village chief, how much does it cost?" "I will give it now." The village chief waved his hand. "Your boss has given it to you, so you don't need to pay." The four Fang brothers were stunned. The village chief sighed, "You are also lucky. If you meet such a good employer, work hard. The good days are yet to come. The four brothers nodded heavily. The second child went to see the land with the village chief, the third child stayed in the workshop to work, and the eldest child and the fourth child went shopping in the town. I was busy working until noon and didn't come back until noon. That day, Fang Muzhu took Fang Muxi to his old house to propose marriage to Mr. Li. Li didn't go to the workshop today, so she waited for them. She breathed a sigh of relief when they came to the door. After a simple ceremony, the marriage between Fang Muxi and Yang Dia was settled. The news came to Rongsha village as soon as possible. Mrs. Lu rushed over and asked, "Dia, are you confused? Why did you find someone so old for Dia?" Then Yang San's grandson Yang Gang or Yang Logu's grandson, which one is better than Fang Muxi, is it appropriate? Not to mention that Yang Gang also likes your family and has mentioned it to his mother several times. Ms. Li snorted coldly, if he really meant it, how could my eldest daughter's marriage be delayed for so long? I told her last year that I would show it to my eldest daughter. Ms. Lu choked, then you can't be so hasty and find her a husband who can be a father. Li didn't take it seriously. What's wrong with being old? Only when you are old can you love others. Besides, people are willing to settle in our village in order to marry the eldest daughter of our family. They have bought the land and will build a house soon. They are full of sincerity, and without the in-laws and aunts making trouble, the eldest daughter will be the master of the family and live a comfortable life, no better than the others. Besides, the Fang family has 4 brothers and is prosperous, so she won't be afraid of being bullied by outsiders when she gets married, right? After listening to this, Ms. Lu couldn't find anything to refute, so she could only walk away. Some people ridiculed Yang Lao'er, saying that his son-in-law was his brother. Yang Lao'er has never responded to these gossips. He found them boring when talking about them in the village, so he stopped mentioning them. Now that the marriage has been completed, Ms. Li wants to strike while the iron is hot and let Dia get married as soon as possible to avoid long nights and dreams. It's just that the Fang family's house hasn't been settled yet, so we have to hurry up. Fang Muzhu was also worried that his brother's hard-earned marriage would be ruined. He was even more anxious than Mr. Li. People who were used to being frugal actually hired people to help build a house. With enough manpower, it only took half a month to build the house. There are 3 rows of houses. The middle row is a main room connected to 2 bedrooms. There are 4 connected rooms on both sides. One side is a bath house, a stove house, a firewood shed, and a warehouse. The other 4 rooms are all wing rooms, modeled after Jiangning. The layout of the home. Such a yard has almost spent all the family property Fang Muxi has saved, but he is very happy and does not feel sad at all. The courtyard is right next door to Yang Lao'er. Yang Dia went to take a look and found that there was really nothing to fault. Yang Lao'er also went over to take a look, then turned around and took out the 20 taels of silver he had finally saved and gave it to Li, asking Li to help buy the dowry. The dowry given to women in the village is nothing more than clothes and quilts. People who love their daughters may also give them a bed, a chest, or some copper jewelry. 2 taels of silver was enough to buy clothes and bedding. Yang Lao'er said, if there is any left over, please ask grandma to ask someone to build a better bed. If there is not enough, I will make up for it. Dad, no need, prepare some clothes, it's enough for me and bedding. I have saved some money myself and can ask the carpenter from the next village to make it. Yang Dia quickly refused. Yang Lao'er, however, remained silent. Seeing him like this, Li said, okay, just listen to your father. If it's not enough, I'll make up for it. The carpenter was in Biang village. Ms. Li had never been there and didn't know how to get there. Plus, with her old arms and legs, she was afraid of dragging down Yang Dia, and she was worried about letting Yang Dia go out by herself. When Zhang Ning found out, he said, forget it, I'll take Dia there. I also need to order a baby cradle and baby chair for my family. Lu, yes, due date is July, so you have plenty of time to order now. Li was overjoyed and immediately went back to report to Yang Dia. The next day, the two went out on foot. Yang Dia has been following Zhang Ning silently on the road. She is sensible and obedient, and looks like her maid. Zhang Ning frowned, turned around and asked, "Isn't it a pity to choose a square wooden mat?" Yang Dia shook her head decisively, "I'm very happy to choose him. I don't want to meet a mother-in-law like my grandma. The shadow left by Mrsgn on her will last a lifetime. If it weren't for Mr. Qian, she might have been more relaxed." Zhang Ning twitched the corner of his mouth and said, "Your mother may release them after the autumn harvest." The steps behind him paused. Zhang Ning turned around and saw Yang Dia's pale face and forehead dripping with cold sweat. He was startled and quickly stepped forward to pull her hand hard. "Come back to your senses." Yang Dia suddenly cried helplessly, "Auntie, what should I do? What will happen to our family if my mother-in-law comes back? My father's legs are already like this. He will definitely not be able to beat my mother-in-law, let alone rich and powerful. I told you, he finally stopped getting sick, if he sees my grandma and gets stimulated again." Yang Dia didn't dare to think deeply about it at all. Zhang Ning suddenly felt a little pitiful for her, and hurriedly patted her shoulder. "Don't think about it, your father and mother have divorced, your surname is Yang, and now you are getting married. What does it have to do with her in the future? Besides, she can't enter Rongsha village, what else can she do to you?" Yang Dia gradually calmed down. Yes, I want to get married as soon as possible. Once I get married, I will become a member of the Fang family. My mother-in-law can't do anything to me." She kept comforting herself, and it took a while before she recovered and continued on her way. The two arrived at Biang village. Zhang Ning asked all the way, but unexpectedly they arrived at the house of the old man who drove the cattle cart. The old man obviously remembered her, and he immediately laughed in surprise. "Why did you come to our village?" "Uncle, we are here to find a carpenter." Zhang Ning smiled and exchanged greetings. The old man was delighted. "What a coincidence. The carpenter you are looking for is my son and grandson. Just wait a moment and I will call them out." The old man's surname is Yan. The Yan family's father and son are both carpenters. They built a large shed in the backyard specifically for them to make wood fires. There is a cowshed next to it for easy transportation. Yan Zhensin already knew about Zhang Ning from his father. He admired her courage in catching the murderer. As soon as he came out, he politely offered people a drink of water and asked, "What do you two want to do?" Zhang Ning motioned for Yang Dia to speak. Yang Dia's mood has returned to normal, and she slowly said, "I want to make a stronger bed." Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 174. When Yan Zhensin saw Miss Yang Dia dressed up, he was convinced, if it is to be given to her husband's family as a dowry, I suggest that it be made more delicate. You can carve some flowers, plants, insects, and birds, and apply a layer of varnish to prevent the wood from mold and rot. If it takes longer, the price will be more expensive. Yang Dia pursed her lips and asked cautiously, "How much does it cost for the ordinary ones? How much does it cost for the ones with carved patterns and varnish?" Yan Zhensin glanced at Zhang Ning and said, "Unprocessed beds, the ones with better materials range from 300 to 500 yuan, and the cheaper ones are more than 100 and 200 yuan, but I don't recommend it. The dowry is at least it would take more than 300 articles to be decent. Including carving and painting, it will cost an additional 150 to 200 yuan, depending on whether the carving is complicated." Yang Dia was a little hesitant. Zhang Ning said slowly, "You only get married once in your life. At this time, there is no point in worrying about the 200 yuan. Just go with the best, and I will make up for the missing ones. After all, you have been digging bamboo shoots for me for so long. I should also give you some makeup. In addition to the bed, give her a wardrobe and a dressing table. Let her choose the style. If she doesn't know how to choose, you can just carve some auspicious paintings. I want to customize a crib, a cradle, and a baby chair. If you can do it, I also want a large baby mobile bed, 2.5 meters wide and 2.5 meters long, which can be disassembled. Assemble. Zhang Ning told Yan Zhenxin carefully about his thoughts. This was the first time Yan Zhenxin had received such a job, and he was very interested. After carefully writing down Zhang Ning's request, he mused, according to your request, this movable bed needs to use bamboo, and we need to weave additional bamboo mats. My father can do it. It just might take a little longer. Zhang Ning smiled lightly and shook his head, it doesn't matter. You make the child's dowry first, and then you can do my work after you finish. I can pay the deposit first for the total amount. Yan Zhenxin nodded solemnly, you know my father and you helped him a lot, so I will earn you a salary and material money, a 3-piece dowry set, which is 1,700 yuan for you, and 100 yuan for the crib. 30 cents for a baby chair, 30 cents for a cradle, and 300 cents for a portable bed. What if we apply varnish again? Zhang Ning asked. Yan Zhenxin rubbed his chin and thought, then add another 100 yuan. Many of the things you want are bamboo. The materials cost nothing. If you use solid wood, it will definitely be more expensive. His words were also explained to Yang Dia. Zhang Ning directly paid 1/3 of the deposit and took Yang Dia back. On the way she asked, are the materials for the wedding ready? Not yet. Yang Dia was a little absent-minded, and Zhang Ning said nothing more. Not long after she returned, Mrs. Li came and took out 3 taels of silver. Ya just told me that you are willing to subsidize it because of your kindness, but the child can't feel sorry for subsidizing so much. 2 taels, I'll make up another tael, take it, and get some bright red material for her to make clothes and bedding. Just buy it as you go, no need to buy more. Zhang Ning responded. I found some free time and went to Songzi town, and went straight to Anhuang Lang's house. When entering the door, Zhang Ning found that Grandma and Mrs. who had normal expressions. It was obvious that they didn't know anything about the An family's big house. She couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief and explained her purpose. Mrs. who immediately went into the house and got a bunch of red materials for her, using all kinds of materials. Zhang Ning was stunned. Mrs. who covered her mouth and snickered. Yang Liang said that some patterns embroidered on red cloth are easier to sell than materials of other colors. He has learned so much for me in one go. I have been embroidering all day long. Take a look, both summer cloth and winter cloth are available. Yes, it's not expensive. 1 foot of winter cloth will cost you 15 cents, and summer cloth will cost you 10 cents. Zhang Ning was a little surprised, is this missing again? Mrs. who shook her head, how can there be so many leaks? It was Yang Liang who caught the eye of a cloth merchant. In addition to the fabric business, the cloth merchant also sold game. He accepted our products, so he gave us a lower purchase price. All the materials were good stuff, no flaws. Zhang Ning looked at it and nodded with satisfaction. According to Li's request, all 1,300 yuan was used to buy materials. Zhang Ning asked for 50 feet of winter cloth and 55 feet of summer cloth. These materials were enough for her to make clothes and quilts. Since Yang Dia didn't want her to spend money, she bought some copper hairpins with beads and flowers to add makeup. The total cost was only 50 yuan. She is satisfied, and Mrs. who is also happy. When Zhang Ning put the materials in front of Li and Yang Dia, both of them were dumbfounded. Old, my dear, I'll use the money I gave you to make a 3-piece suit. I can't buy so many materials. Are you filling in again? Li felt a headache. How much money would have to be filled in? Zhang Ning felt funny in her heart. Mommy, I haven't filled it up. 1 foot of summer cloth is 10 cents, and 1 foot of winter cloth is 15 cents. Calculate whether you have exceeded it. It's so cheap, impossible. Li didn't believe it even to death. Yang Dia also looked suspicious. Zhang Ning shrugged, I'm serious, but this price is a favor price given to me, and I don't make any money, so don't go around shouting about it. Really? Li was still doubtful. With a sincere look on his face, Zhang Ning took out the 2 beaded flowers and 2 copper hairpins he bought. It's more real than real gold and platinum. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought this separately. Let's play with it. She pushed the thing in front of Yang Dia. Mrs. Li believed it now. Although the boss spent a lot of money, she was not a big advantage. If she really wanted to add more money, she would definitely not buy these things again. After all, Dia was not her biological daughter. When Yang Dia saw the jewelry, her nose was sour and her eyes were red. She silently put the things away and said, Thank you, uncle. Which woman can refuse a beautiful headdress? The beads and the copper hairpin are both very delicate and beautiful, and it seems that they were carefully selected. She has never had her own headdress in her whole life. No, she probably has never even touched it. Grandparents and grandson left happily holding the materials. The villagers keep everything simple when getting married. The wedding dress only needs to be bright red, and there is no need to pay attention to any patterns. If there is no bright red or even pink, it will be fine. With Mrs. Joe and several village women busy, it only took 5 days to make all the wedding attire, new clothes, and bedding. Another half-month later, Yan Zhensin and his son delivered Yang Dia's 3-piece dowry set, which caused quite a stir in the village. All the women who were preparing to get married or were about to marry a daughter-in-law rushed to the door to have a look. Carpenter Yan was full of praise for his craftsmanship. Mrs. Zhang murmured regretfully, if I had known you could still do such tricks, I would have made a plan for whatever you wanted. Pangza sneered at the side, even if I knew it at the beginning, you wouldn't dare to do it. Only now that I have some money can I confidently say such a thing. It's okay, my son and daughter-in-law won't need it, but my grandson will definitely use it in the future. Everyone laughed. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 175. Zhang also grinned happily. After seeing Yang Dia's dowry, the Fang family brothers valued the Yang family more and more. Apart from anything else, they couldn't treat Yang Dia badly just for the dowry. The 4 brothers got together to discuss the banquet. Since the 2 families were next door, they planned to hold the banquet together. Brother, I will definitely need big fish and meat when setting the table. You can order the meat from Yang Han next door. We can ask Panzai Yuniang for the fish. This time we won't trouble the boss. Every time we ask the boss for help, we still have to spend money. I'm sorry. Fang Muxi scratched his head and spoke without any confidence. His family fortune has been emptied, and he has to rely on his 3 brothers to prepare banquets. Fang Muzhu nodded slightly, I think so too. When we have free time, we can also go to the river to set up fish baskets. If we are lucky, we can catch some fish and raise them back, and we can save a little. Then I'll go into the mountains and set traps, and we'll catch pheasants and rabbits ourselves. Fang Muchuan agreed. Fang Muofan looked at this and that, then I'll order some pork from the butcher and go into the mountains to dig some wild vegetables. Sure, let's do it. The 4 brothers agreed and got to work immediately. In a blink of an eye, the day of Yang Dia's wedding came, and everyone in the village came to help. Even Old Man Yang and Old Man Yang, who were working outside, rushed back. Old Man Yang's expression was as usual, with no sign of sadness or joy. He closed the door and began to scold Yang Lao. Dia has done a lot for this family, why did you find such a man for him? I didn't mean that. Fang Muxi didn't. Okay, but the age difference is too big. Marriage is a lifelong matter. If he steps ahead of Daya, will you let Daya become a widow at such a young age? Yang Laoer was so talked about that he couldn't hold his head up. Yang Daya carried things into the house and said, "Grandpa, don't talk about my daddy. It's my own wish. So what if he is more than 10 years older than me? Fang Muxi looks strong, who will die in the future? It's hard to say yet." Bah, bah, bah. What nonsense are you talking about, little girl? How could anyone curse themselves like that? Old man Yang blew his beard and stared in anger. Yang Dia knew that old man Yang felt sorry for her, so she couldn't hold it back and cried aggrievedly, "Master, my eldest uncle said that my aunt will be released in the autumn. I'm so scared." Old man Yang and old man Yang changed their faces at the same time. "Did your uncle really say that?" Old Yang stood up straight. After the shock, he glanced at Yang Laoer and then looked at Yang Dia. "It doesn't matter even if she comes out, she is no longer from our banyan tree village. I can't enter the village. Remember, your surname is Yang, and their surname is Qian. They don't want to cause trouble for you." Old man Yang is the head of the family, and her words are a reassurance for Yang Dia. Because of Qian's matter, old man Yang did not pursue Yang Dia's marriage anymore. After Yang Dia left, he looked at Yang Laoer and asked, "Do you still want to spend time with Qian?" Yang Laoer raised the corner of his mouth mockingly, with a deep look in his eyes. "Dad, she has hurt me like this. This leg reminds me all the time how Qian made me crippled. I am tired of living, only then will we get involved with her again." Old man Yang frowned, thought for a moment, and said thoughtfully, "In this case, I will go and tell the village chief. From now on, our village will have a man guard the village entrance to prevent the Qian family from making trouble." Making trouble? Do they still have the nerve to make trouble? Yang Laoer gritted his teeth with hatred. Old man Yang sighed, "You don't know that in the village. The third child and I occasionally take jobs in the county, and we know more things than you. The Qian family has lost Qian Wen, and Qian Laoer committed suicide again. The reputation has been ruined for a long time. They are now angry with Qian, thinking that it was Qian who exposed Qian Wen's life experience that drove Qian Laoer to a dead end. If Qian is really released from prison, the Qian family will definitely not be able to go back, and she may even be entangled by the Qian family's disgusting things and ask her to pay compensation. If you say that her mother's family cannot return, and her husband's family is gone, what can she do?" Yang Laoer's eyes rolled back and forth, his expression a bit ugly. "Dad, did you mean 3 children?" "Yes," old man Qian nodded heavily. "After all, she gave birth to the 3 children. Even if she and you divorce her, she will still be there. Their biological mother will definitely pester the 3 children when she is desperate. Fugui is still young, so she won't consider it. To put it bluntly, Arya is not an adult yet and has limited abilities. Only Dia can help. She will definitely find a way to get Dia to help. This is why Dia is afraid." Hey. Now it seems that Daya's choice to marry Fang Muxi is not all bad. At least the Fang family lives in Rongsha village and rarely leaves the village. Daya wants to hide away for a while. That bitch, if she really dares to embarrass Daya, at worst I will die with her. Yang Laoer clenched his fists fiercely, his eyes bloodshot. Old man Yang was startled. "Second brother, don't be impulsive. Think about Arya and Fugui, they are still young. If something happens to you again, what will they do? Don't worry, I'll go talk to Fang Muxi. Let me tell the village chief, Qian even dislikes dogs in our village, and the village chief will definitely not let her enter the village." Old man Yang calmed down Yang Laoer's mood, left a couple of silver for Yang Dia and hurried back to his old house. He first went to the village chief with a piece of 2 kilograms of pork and told him the general situation. It was just a favor, and the village chief agreed without even thinking about it. Old man Yang breathed a sigh of relief. then went to the workshop to find the four brothers of the Fang family, told them about Jian's situation, and eagerly held Fang Muxi's hand, hoping that he would protect Yang Dia. The Fang family was filled with indignation when they heard what Jian had done, and immediately patted their chests and promised to protect the Yang Dia family. Old man Yang was completely relieved now. Seeing that the square wooden mat was strong, Old man Yang felt particularly safe. When he was happy, he took out another tael of silver and asked him to gather together to hold a banquet. The square wooden mat was flattered and refused to take it. He only accepted it after Old man Yang fell out. After Old Yang left, Fang Muchuan said with a rare expression of gentleness, although the fourth son's marriage to Yang Dia is no different from marrying into a wife, the Yang family spends a lot of money and does not look down upon us, so it's not bad. Fang Muzhu nodded slightly. Even if he doesn't say anything, we will help. We can't see the wife that the fourth child finally married being ruined. In a blink of an eye, the day came when Yang Dia got married. This year, the villagers have made more or less money because of Jiangning. There are still many people in the village who work with Old man Yang, and for his sake they will come to add makeup to Yang Dia. Some were even given a pair of copper bracelets. Although the copper ones were not worth much, not every village woman could have them. Everyone scraped together and even managed to get a box of dowry for Yang Dia. For the sake of Old man Yang and Mr. Li, the brothers and sisters of Yang Datu also gave gifts to show their appreciation. Yang Datu brothers each gave 100 cents. Yang Xiao gave a small screen that he had embroidered, and Lu Ye gave 2 pieces of material. Li's eyes lit up when she saw the 2 pieces of material, and she asked Jiangning, "You want Ye Zi to come back here to have a baby?" Jiangning hesitated for a moment and said, "I plan to let her go to the town hospital to give birth, and then take her back to the village for confinement after the birth is complete." "What? Go to the town hospital?" Li was shocked. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 176. Some of these women gave birth to babies in the fields in the middle of their work. Some even went to the toilet and pulled out the babies. Most of them invited a stable woman to come to their home. It was the first time for her to go to a medical clinic to give birth to a baby. "See you." Jiangning nodded with a serious face. She is young and it is her first child. I feel relieved to go to the hospital. But if she stays at home, I will panic. No matter how hard it is, I have to let her go to the hospital. It took Ms. Li a while to digest the news and muttered, "How can it be so hard to give birth to a child?" Jiangning just pretended not to hear and turned around to talk to Zhang and others. Zhang was cheerful and took advantage of the happy day to tease Jiangning, "It's time for your second oldest son to get married. Is there a girl you like?" Others hurriedly pricked up their ears to listen. Jiangning curled up his lips in a funny way, "If there is good news, I will notify you as soon as possible." "Then it's not there yet." Ms. Zhang suddenly became interested. "Let me tell you, the shopkeeper Zheng who owns a grocery store in the town asked me about your second son, and he also said that he has a girl who is waiting for marriage, and asked me to talking about making peace. How do you think he knew that I had a good relationship with you? He actually came to my place." Grocery store in town. Jiangning thought for a while before remembering the grocery store owner who was very smart and good at business. She thought that she had sold melon seeds at him at first, but not later. Mrs. Zhang nodded vigorously. "He said that his girl is as beautiful as a flower, and has a clever mind. She was praised to the best of everything in the world. He even let me meet her. Her appearance is quite iconic, and her mouth is also quite sweet. She is like an ant in every mouth. Extremely enthusiastic." Jiangning couldn't help but feel amused. How could they not be so enthusiastic when they asked you to be a matchmaker? As for how they knew we had a good relationship, we often go to town together. Some people would know it after just asking around. There's nothing strange about this place you're talking about. I'll ask someone later, but you don't have to worry about it. If they ask, just mention it and I won't give you a confirmation. As soon as Ms. Zhang heard this, she knew that Zhang Ning was not satisfied with the Zheng family, so she said nothing more. Not long after Yang Dia got married, the results of the government examination came out. Sun Yuashan was on the list as expected and became a child. When Zhang Ning went to visit his two young sons, he learned about this from their mouths. He immediately took out a roll of rice paper and said, "If you give this to him, just say it is my gift to him, so that he can concentrate on preparing for the exam and strive to get the exam." House of Commons examination. Yang Santi and Yang Sizhuang looked at each other and looked at Zhang Ning. "Auntie, we heard that Brother Su has no place to stay in Fukan. Fukan inns are very expensive during the college examination. Can we let him stay at our house, on the Zhuangzi?" When the emperor gave Zhang Ning 100 acres of fertile land, Zhang Ning chose Zhuangzi, which was the closest place to the city. It only took half an hour to get to the city by bullock cart. Zhuangzi asked Huang Zhenyang to help find someone to take care of it, and she didn't bother with it again after that. Zhang Ning hesitated a little. "It's okay, but I don't know what the situation is at Zhuangzi and who is there. It's inconvenient for them to go there. If he doesn't mind, it's okay." "I don't mind. I don't mind." Yang Santi grabbed the conversation with some excitement and immediately explained, "Brother Su wants to save money. I will tell him the situation in advance and let him make his own decision. If he goes to Zhuangzi, he thinks it's okay. He will live there directly, and if he feels it is inappropriate to leave, we will not charge him any money, so there is no loss for him." Zhang Ning nodded and said thoughtfully, "We still have to find a time to go over and take a look, otherwise we won't even know what's in our village." Yang Santi rolled his eyes and pulled Zhang Ning to act coquettishly. "Mommy, you see no one has ever come to our village to look at it, and it doesn't sound right." "What do you want to say?" Zhang Ning glanced at him warily. Yang Santi said with a smile, "I just want to take this opportunity to go to Fukan with Brother Su and the others to see the world. By the way, I will bring my second brother with me. We two brothers will go to Zhuangzi to have a look. If there is no suitable house, we can still find someone make a small yard. My second brother is older than me and can control the scene. You can give me some rice paper. We have 1 roll and 1 liang here. I can get 1 roll and 2.5 in Fukan." Hearing this, Zhang Ning laughed angrily and pinched Yang Santi's ears. "Have you forgotten what I asked you to come to the school for? You actually want to go to Fukan to do business? Why don't you go to heaven?" "Hiss, it hurts, Grandma, if you have something to say, please let go." Yang Santi was wailing on the side. Yang Sizhuang couldn't stand it anymore. "Auntie, please stop scolding third brother. In fact, this matter is what Mr. Wang meant." "Huh?" Zhang Ning immediately let go. Yang Sizhuang nodded vigorously. "I'm serious. Mr. Ming said that the third brother is smart, but he can't calm down and always wants to run away. It's not good to keep him restrained. Since he wants to go out, let him go. When he goes out and sees the warmth of people outside, he will know the importance of getting ahead. Moreover, the third brother's mouth can be said to be alive by him. He is better than the elder brothers who are rushing to take the exam. It can be helpful to let him go with him. In addition, Anyang, I thought that our family has a Zhuangzi in Fukan, so why not do it as a favor and let them live there if we can entertain the students who are rushing for the exams. If 1 or 2 talents can be produced, our Zhuangzi will become famous. Let's also open an inn in Zhuangzi, so we don't have to worry about running out of business." Zhang Ning was really shocked now. "Fourth brother, you have been hanging out with your third brother for a long time, and you have lost sight of money. Yang Sizhuang was not like this before. Yang Sizhuang smiled sheepishly, it's not because my second brother knows how to repair houses. Our family has a ready-made village. If we don't use it, it will be in vain. If we can make money, my mother can be more relaxed. She doesn't have to squat in the mountains every day to dig for fungi mushroom. That's what I'm happy to do. Zhang Ning pinched his youngest son's nose lovingly and thought for a while before nodding, okay. You can go if you want, but you have to go with the people from the agency. I'll do that. Connect. Thank you, Auntie. Yang Santi was so happy that he kept jumping up and down. He immediately rushed out to find Sun Yuashan and the others to announce the good news. The people from Sun Yuashan immediately came over to thank Zhang Ning. They all knew that she was the emperor's wife, and they were very respectful after entering. Zhang Ning smiled and said, I don't know what Zhuangzi's situation is now. Chang Song and his second brother will go with you. If you can live there, feel free to stay. If you can't, go to the inn. Thank you, MRSMWI. Everyone thanked them again. Sun Yuashan went home specially to tell his mother and sister the good news. MRS Jo was still worried about what she would do if her son went away from home. Now that she knew that the Yang family was helping, she immediately breathed a sigh of relief and said, if the Yang family's village can be lived in, Grandma and your sister would also like to accompany you. As soon as we come, mother and son, the three of you are taking care of us, so you can study without worries. Your sister and I will cook for you, and we will come back together after the exam. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 177. Anayang, are you and my little sister going together? Sun Yuashan was shocked. Madame Jo exhaled with emotion, you are the support of me and Nyan. When you go away from home, the two of us feel uneasy at home. We didn't dare to say it before because we were afraid of adding to the burden on you. If you can stay overnight, Yang Zhuangzi, at least we can save some money for accommodation. We can bring the food ourselves, and your sister can continue to make beads and sell flowers there. Anyway, she won't spend too much money, and she can feel at ease. Mainly because the scholar was weak and he had gone so far away, MRS Jo had already given up on food and tea before her son left home. Instead of living like this for years, she might as well grit her teeth and follow him. Sun Yuashan was a little embarrassed. If I want to take my mother and sister with me, I have to go and tell brother Chang Song. After all, we live in someone else's village. Yes, it doesn't matter even if you have to pay some money. After all, we have two more people. MRS Jo looked at her son eagerly. Sun Yuashan had no choice but to go back to school and inform Yang Santi of the matter. As soon as he opened his mouth, he realized that all the other classmates had more or less brought their families, and at least one person accompanied them. Yang Santi quickly counted the number of people, and took leave with his husband that day to return to Rongsha village. It happened that Yang Erden had just arrived home. Yang Santi hurriedly explained the situation, and was severely punished by Yang Erden. We don't even know what Zhuangzi's situation is, but you dare to take this kind of job. What if you arrive? What should I do if I can't live with you? It will cause trouble for my mother-in-law. Yang Erden scolded for a while, and Zhang Ning said, okay, help me get some more rice paper. I want to see how much money he can make for me this time, but don't lose it. Yang Erden's face darkened, and he scolded Yang Santi again. The mother and son were busy at home for 2 days and drove out several boxes of goods. Yang Erden asked the 4 brothers of the Fang family to prepare several more car casing ashes. Over at the agency, Zhang Ning has asked Lu Kuiwa to help with the matter. The team is waiting in the county seat, and everyone is gathering there. Zhang Ning sent them over and saw a large number of people waiting outside the city gate from a distance. MRS Jo and Sun Yan were the first to recognize Zhang Ning and hurried forward to greet him. Zhang Ning looked at them and saw that the mother and daughter only brought a small baggage, and frowned. Just bring these things. There are also some godmothers who have been put in the car. Mrs. Zhou was looking forward to it but also a little nervous. Zhang Ning nodded with a smile. If you are worried on the road, if you need anything, you can ask my two boys for help. No, 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 it's already troublesome for you. Mrs. Zhou was grateful and ashamed at the same time. Zhang Ning didn't say anything else. He turned to Yang Erden and whispered, go over there and take a closer look at Zhuangzi's situation. Who can be used and who cannot be used? Pay attention. If you can handle it, handle it. If you can't handle it, keep it. Wait, I'll talk to you next time. You've taken care of the money. If you have any ideas, just do it. Don't be afraid. Yang Erden solemnly agreed. After bidding farewell to Zhang Ning, he took the initiative to communicate with the bodyguard. With him coming forward, everyone implicitly regards him as the leader. It would be faster to take the waterway from the county town to the capital city, but with so many people and cargo, they could only take the official road, which would be half a day slower. It happened to be noon when the group of people arrived at Zhuangzi. The leader said to Yang Erden, young Master Yang, this is it. You can take a look. If there is no problem, we will leave first. Yang Erden and Yang Santi looked at each other. The two brothers were the first to enter the village. They were stopped after a while and asked, who are you looking for? Yang Erden looked at the other person's clothes and muttered, I am the owner of this village, my surname is Yang. The man was startled and hurriedly ran back. The brothers chased after him. I saw the man running into a big house and shouting, Butler Zhu, the boss is here. As soon as he finished speaking, a middle-aged man came out in a hurry, noticed the Yang brothers at a glance, and hurriedly stepped forward to salute respectfully, are the two young masters the sons of Mrs. Mui? Yang Erden nodded and took out the letter Huang Zhenyang wrote to Zhang Ning, this is Mr. Wang's personal letter. Please acknowledge it. Butler Zhu nodded firmly after just one glance, yes, it is indeed a handwritten letter from my master. The two young masters are coming with me. Wait a minute, there are still a bunch of people waiting outside Zhuangzi, Yang Santi said. Steward Zhu immediately looked at Zhu San beside him and said, go, settle those guests in Ziwan first. Ziwan, Yang Erden asked in confusion. Butler Zhu explained, this Zhuangzi was previously prepared by Jiao Pengji for his concubine's brother. The other party was originally from a poor family. One person was able to achieve the goal of raising chickens and dogs to heaven. He spent money like water. Not only did he build this big house on Zhuangzi, but he also built a house not far from the entrance of Zhuangzi. A western garden was built in the place. This big house is specially used to entertain Jiao Pengju. They live in Ziwan by themselves, which is no worse than here, because this house is in Zhuangzi and is relatively close to the fields. There is also a large cellar for storing grain. The younger ones live here. It's easier to do things. Speaking, Butler Zhu first took the two of them to see where he lived. Although there are no tigers in the mountains, Butler Zhu does not dare to call himself a king at all. He lives in the courtyard of the servants and keeps everything simple. Although the main courtyards are uninhabited all year round, they are cleaned regularly and are clean. Then they went to the cellar again. The harvest had not yet been harvested, so the cellar was relatively empty. Butler Zhu said thoughtfully, I wonder what Madam's requirements are this year? You can tell me in advance. Yang Erden looked around and asked, what will Master Zhuangzi be planting this year? The paddy fields are all planted with rice, and the fertile fields are planted with wheat and taro. The fish ponds used to have fish, but they haven't been processed this year. I don't know how big the fish are in them and what their condition is. If the young master wants to build a fish pond, I can tell the people in the village to immediately take action, Butler Zhu said. Yang Santi asked curiously, how many people are there in Zhuangzi? Who are they? Butler Zhu took out a book in a serious manner. All the people in Zhuangzi were dealt with by Master Huang before. Xiao Xiao and Zhu San were specially arranged by Master Huang to take care of them. In addition to us, there are 8 Sin slaves and them family members. Sin slave, Yang Erden immediately thought of Tianfeng. He only knew about Sin slave because of Tianfeng. Butler Zhu saw that something was wrong with his face and explained, these criminal slaves were originally servants of wealthy families. The master's family was implicated in crimes. Master Huang asked the younger one to choose some loyal and honest ones to stay. The younger one and Zhu San were originally after selecting 10, we eliminated the 2 restless ones, and now the remaining 8 are down-to-earth and law-abiding people. Yang Erden nodded and said nothing more. After leaving the big house, he and Yang Santi immediately ran to Z1. Z1 is indeed not small. It is not a regular 3-entry courtyard, but 2. The first courtyard is a place for entertaining guests, and there are several small courtyards in the back. It is estimated that the original owner's family had a large population, so this arrangement is more reasonable. Now we are hosting guests. These students who are rushing to take the exam are particularly suitable. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 178. Yang Santi ran around and counted, and found that there were 8 small courtyards in the second courtyard. Each small courtyard had 4 rooms. All of them could be turned into bedrooms for residents, or they could be turned into 2 bedrooms and 2 studies. This time, in addition to Sun Yuashan's family, Yang Erden also came with Hua Yongnian and his book boy, Gong Haining, his 2 attendants and 2 other boys, each of whom also brought 2 family members. They live in 5 small courtyards respectively without disturbing each other. The conditions are much better than those in an inn. Everyone was overjoyed. Brother Yang Santi's eyes were full of gratitude and they thanked him repeatedly. Mrs. Zhou found Yang Erden and said, I would like to find out where I can buy some vegetables and meat. We are cooking for ourselves these days. If the 2 young masters don't mind, we can come over and eat together. Yang Erden looked at the others and frowned, as far as I know, there is only 1 kitchen. There are 3 big pots. If you want to cook, you have to take turns. There are vegetables on the farm, and there is also a fish pond. You have to go in to buy meat. City. When Mrs. Zhou heard that there was fish, her eyes suddenly lit up. Fish is good. As long as there is fish. My children have been eating fish since they were young. As for cooking, it's just a matter of turns, and it won't be short of that time anyway. Everyone nodded in unison. Yang Erden's brows relaxed. Okay. Then I'll go find Butler Zhu and tell him that if you need anything, you can go to Zhu San. He often visits Zhuangzi, and he's the one you just met. After explaining the matter, Yang Erden and Yang Santi returned to the house and began to think about a few things about their visit this time. First of all, there was nothing wrong with the people in Zhuangzi, especially Butler Zhu, who was thoughtful and loyal. There was no slave boss. Things that deceive the Lord. The second is the house to live in. There are 2 big houses, and their family can't live in them all. According to Anyang's wish, Z1 can be turned into a private hotel to specially entertain wealthy guests. An inn can be built at the entrance of Zhuangzi, which is the entrance to Fukan. There is no need to worry about running out of business if you build an inn, but this matter still needs to be discussed carefully with Butler Zhu. The third one is the profit from the land. It seems that there is no problem at the moment. The fish pond will start catching fish tomorrow. If there is a harvest, we have to find a way to do it. The last thing was the rice paper that Yang Santi brought. He had never done business and didn't know where to find a buyer, but it gave him a headache. Lao San, what do you think we should do? Yang Erden looked at Yang Santi. Yang Santi was not in a hurry at all, and just muttered mysteriously, Tomorrow, Brother Su and the others are going to the city to visit Mr. Ming at Kuzhu Academy. Mr. Ming gave me the letter of introduction. I have to take them there. When they get there, I'll act according to my circumstances. Second brother, you don't have to worry about my affairs, you just have to do what I told you. Yang Erden knew that he already had an idea when he saw him like that, so he reminded him, just don't cause any trouble. I will discuss with Butler Zhu about repairing the inn tomorrow. Early the next morning, Yang Erden got up and went to see Butler Zhu as soon as possible to convey Zhang Ning's wishes. Butler Zhu did not dare to neglect, and immediately took Yang Erden to the entrance of Zhuangzi to check. The entrance of Zhuangzi was on the edge of the official road, with wasteland on both sides, overgrown with weeds. This wasteland and the fields belonged to Zhuangzi, but no one was there. Just makes sense. Butler Zhu made some gestures and said, "Second young master, if you want to build an inn, you need to have a lobby, a kitchen, a courtyard, a guest room, a warehouse, and a stable. At least 2 to 3 acres of wasteland will be used." "There are more than 3 acres of wasteland here," Yang Erden said visually. Butler Zhu nodded repeatedly, "That's true." When the little one arrived at Zhuangzi, he was measured. This wasteland is actually very large. The main reason is that it is not in a good shape. It is long and scattered. It is 8 acres in total. That's enough. Butler Zhu, does he know how much it costs to build an inn? Butler Zhu frowned. "You have to go to the city and ask a mason to find out about this kind of thing. The inn is no more expensive than an ordinary house, so it will probably be more expensive." Yang Erden fell into deep thought. "Second brother, what are you talking about?" Yang Santi and his group came from a distance and kept waving to Yang Erden, followed by Mrs. Zhou and others. Yang Erden looked puzzled. "You are all going to Kuzhu Academy?" Yang Santi nodded excitedly. "Let's go to the academy. Madam and the others go to the city for a walk. It's a rare trip. It would be a pity not to go to the city for a walk." Go early and come back early." Yang Erden smiled. He turned around and continued to discuss with Butler Zhu. A woman next to Mrs. Zhou asked curiously, "Young Master Yang looks young, but he is so steady in his work. I wonder how old he is." "My second brother is 15 this year, so he is really not that old." Yang Santi was carefree and spoke unscrupulously. The woman immediately asked, "You can get married at 15? Yang Santi shook his head. "It's still early. Brother Su and the others haven't gotten married yet after their 15th birthday." "This is different," the woman retorted subconsciously. "You are scholars. If you can pass the examination, you will definitely be able to marry a better girl. Isn't your second brother not studying?" Yang Santi frowned. "So what if he didn't go to school? With my family's current conditions, he doesn't have to worry about not being able to marry a woman. It doesn't matter if he waits for a few more years." Seeing that Yang Santi was unhappy, the woman immediately shut up. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught sight of Sun Yan walking beside Mrs. Zhou, and immediately changed the subject. "How old is your girl?" Mrs. Zhou didn't like this man, so she pretended not to hear anything and said to Sun Yuashan, "After we enter the city later, your sister and I will go to the shop to see if we can get any work. Let's meet at the city gate." Sun Yuashan said thoughtfully, "Auntie, I guess it won't be that early. You can also go back by yourself in a bullock cart without saving the 2 cents. The woman curled her lips and said with disdain, "This is a capital city, not our small place, and I still want to ride in an ox cart for 2 cents. Sun Yuashan's face turned red. Gong Haining immediately said, "Brother Su, if you are worried about them, you can ask them to go to Yangta restaurant to find the shopkeeper, and ask the shopkeeper to arrange an ox cart to send them back." "How can this be so embarrassing?" Sun Yuashan declined politely. Gong Haining said very calmly, "Yangta restaurant has to deliver a batch of wine to the winery outside the city every morning and evening. The winery is not far from the village where we live, so it is a convenient way. Yang Santi asked, is Yangta restaurant the property of Brother Gong's family? Gong Haining nodded slightly. Yang Santi tilted his head in confusion, then why does Brother Gong live in my village instead of his own restaurant? Gong Haining sighed sadly, looking aggrieved, Brother Chang Song, everything about my restaurant is good, but, it's just a restaurant. A place to drink and have fun. I came to Fukan to pursue my future. Living in a place like that will only mess with my mind, it's inappropriate, it's really inappropriate. Ah, then your family has no other properties in Fukan? Yang Santi continued to ask. Gong Haining smiled bitterly, yes. But I don't like it. I won't be as comfortable as staying with you over there. This is the real reason, Yang Santi complained. Making everyone laugh. The woman was interrupted, and even if she wanted to continue to bury Sunyuashan, she had no chance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 179. After the group entered the city, Gong Haining handed a jade pendant to Mrs. Zhou and gave a few instructions before leaving with Yang Santi and the others. The woman was jealous of the jade pendant in Madame Zhou's hand, and said sourly, it's different to have a daughter who has not left the palace. A man will take care of her. Mrs. Zhou's face instantly darkened, what do you mean? She can tolerate what others say, but not attacks on her children. What? I'm not wrong. If it weren't for you bringing your daughter with you, how could Master Gong give you the jade pendant? You're a fool if you look at other people. The more the woman spoke, the more excited she became. Sun Yan pulled Madame Zhou with a dark face, Mommy, why are you arguing with a shrew? We will explain it clearly to young Master Gong and the others when we get back later, so that young Master Gong's kindness in helping us will not lead to malicious speculation. What do you mean? When did I maliciously speculate about young Master Gong? The woman's expression changed drastically and she glared at Sun Yan fiercely. Sun Yan snorted coldly, don't worry, I will say whatever you say, and I will never smear you with empty words. Auntie, let's go. You, stop, you little bitch, the woman cursed. She was so angry that she didn't dare to make a big deal out of a city where she was unfamiliar. Mrs. Zhou walked far away before asking, why did you stop me just now? Sun Yan frowned, Auntie, this is a capital city, and there are many rich and powerful nobles. It's okay for us to quarrel or even fight with her. We'll be reasonable, but it won't be appropriate if it affects my eldest brother. That woman was not afraid of us, but she didn't dare to provoke young Master Gong and young Master Yang. I moved out of young Master Gong's house and warned her that if she was wise, we would not offend her. If she couldn't figure it out, I was not someone to be bullied. After hearing this, Mrs. Zhou's expression finally softened a lot. While talking, the mother and daughter arrived at a treasure pavilion. Zhenbao Pavilion has a large facade, with private rooms specially designed to entertain distinguished guests. The decorations placed in the lobby are all ordinary items, and the expensive ones are probably kept. The job of entertaining them was not to ignore them just because they were wearing ordinary clothes, but to carefully introduce the things in the store. Sun Yan took out a veil from his arms and opened it to reveal 2 bead flowers inside. Do you accept these bead flowers here? The waiter looked at it carefully and immediately asked the shopkeeper to come out. The shopkeeper looked at it for a moment and said in deep thought, the beaded flowers made by the girl are made of cheap materials, but the craftsmanship is good and the colors are beautiful. I can accept them here, but the price will not be too high. If the materials are better, it will be better. I can give you a good price. Mrs. Zhou was overjoyed and asked eagerly, can the shopkeeper take over the work? Just take the things back and make them. The shopkeeper subconsciously frowned and looked at Mrs. Joe and Sunyan. You are not locals. Mrs. Joe nodded anxiously. I am accompanying my son here to take the college examination, and I have to stay here for a while. The shopkeeper was stunned, but said, in this case, I can't give you the things. What if you leave silently? What will happen to my loss? Mrs. Joe wanted to say something else, but Sunyan stopped her. Is it okay if I come to work for the shopkeeper? Yes, the shopkeeper agreed readily, and even led Sunyan to the backyard. The main store of Zhenbao Pavilion is in Beijing, and Kuzhu is just a branch store. No matter which store has new styles, they can be sold in other branches, so we have our own Zheniang. If it weren't for the fact that the girl's skills are really good, I wouldn't have brought you in. While talking, the two of them arrived at a bright room full of women doing work. Each one had a special place. On one side was a cabinet with some valuable finished products or semi-finished products, and on the other side were materials. The shopkeeper said with a serious face, all Zhenniangs who enter this room must put on the same clothes. When they leave this room, they put on their own clothes. There will be a specially supervised maid to watch them. No problem, right? Sunyan nodded and said with a smile, this can save a lot of trouble, which is very good. The shopkeeper smiled with satisfaction and said, young girl is indeed a transparent person. If there is no problem, you can come over tomorrow to do the work. As long as the things you make are chosen and bought by the customers, you will get 10% profit. For example, this silver hairpin sells for 3 taels, you can get 300 coins. The price exceeded the expectations promised, and she immediately promised to come early the next morning. The mother and daughter left the Zhenbao Pavilion, and Mrs. Joe asked anxiously, what did the shopkeeper say? Sunyan nodded towards her. Mrs. Joe suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the time, it was still very early. Mother and daughter went directly to Yangta restaurant, and soon boarded a bullock cart and left the city. Over at Kuzhu Academy, Zhong Bohan had just finished taking the exams and commented on several students who were about to leave. Finally, he turned his attention to Yang Santi. Do you still remember me? Yang Santi had already recognized Zhong Bohan the first time he saw him. When he saw everyone taking the initiative to say hello, he quickly put on an awkward giggle and said, hello, academician Zhong. Zhong Bohan twitched his lips in a funny way. I saw you before, you were like a skinny monkey, but now that you put on a Confucian shirt, you still can't change your nature. Is your mother-in-law coming to Fukan too? No, she didn't come, it was me and my second brother who came together. Yang Santi was afraid that Zhong Bohan would misunderstand, so he hurriedly defended himself. Zhong Bohan frowned, if you don't end up, what are you doing here? You didn't sneak out, did you? Yang Santi was so anxious that he knelt down with a plop. Grandpa Zhong, I swear, it was really my mother-in-law who agreed that I came here. Mr. Ming should have told you in the letter, right? Seeing that he was almost crying, Zhong Bohan laughed loudly and said, get up. How dare you play tricks with Mr. Ming with such a little talent, that's great. Yang Santi was aggrieved and pursed his lips. Although it was Mr. Ming's intention that he came to Fukan, he was indeed playing a little trick. Unexpectedly, Mr. Ming saw through it at a glance. Zhong Bohan saw that he was a little unhappy, so he stepped forward and joked, what? Didn't you come here to do business? You can't make any money like this. Yang Santi looked up pitifully, Grandpa Zhong, do you allow me to do business in the academy? I didn't say that. Yang Santi was instantly depressed. But you can go find Mian, maybe that girl will help you. Zhong Bohan said a word. Yang Santi suddenly felt that there was a turn of events, and he jumped up with joy, Grandpa Zhong, I knew you were the best. I now just go find Mian. What does Mian like? I'll buy it for her. You don't know what she likes. Zhong Bohan raised his eyebrows. Yang Santi scratched his head with a smile. She likes my grandma the most, but my grandma is not here. I can only think of other ways. As soon as he finished speaking, an idea flashed through his mind and he shouted excitedly, I know what to give. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 180. Everyone looked at Yang Santi in surprise, only to see him running away like the wind. Yang Santi hurriedly ran out, opened the baggage he had brought, checked it, and came back with the baggage in his arms. Grandpa Zhong, my grandma made this rice paper herself. Mian must like it. You are so smart. Zhong Bohan was speechless. He checked the rice paper that Yang Santi brought over and found that it was still good. No wonder Brother Ming kept praising it. This paper is really good. In some aspects, it is even better than Qingzhou rice paper, better than that. Yang Santi looked at Zhong Bohan longingly. Grandpa Zhong, do you think this paper can be sold for 1 or 2 halves per roll? It's difficult, Zhong Bohan said truthfully. Look, Qingzhou rice paper comes in 1 roll or 2, and the paper is a consumable. Even if the paper is better than rice paper, scholars will not spend so much money to choose it. Yang Santi was a little depressed, but not disappointed. He still held the roll of paper and went to visit Mian. Mian immediately put down what she was doing when she knew Yang Santi was coming, and hurried over to meet the guest, Brother Santi. Mian, Yang Santi's eyes suddenly lit up when he saw Mian, who was wearing a goose yellow gauze skirt. We haven't seen her in 2 years, and I almost don't dare to recognize her. Mian smiled and narrowed her eyes, looking expectantly behind Yang Santi. Where's Auntie? Has Auntie come to see me? Yang Santi shook his head. The corners of Mian's mouth suddenly drooped. Don't she want to see me? No, my mother-in-law didn't come to Fukan. I came here with a few classmates who were rushing to take the exam. This is rice paper made by my mother-in-law and given to you. Yang Santi quickly took out something to coax her. Mian was immediately interested. Can you still make rice paper? Try it. Yang Santi looked at her expectantly. Mian immediately asked the maid next to her to bring over the 4 treasures of the study and wrote a poem in front of Yang Santi. Yang Santi was amazed. Mian, you are really good. Even scholars may not be as talented as you. Absolutely amazing. Mian's face turned red after being praised. She suppressed her inner joy and asked, Brother Santi just came to Fukan with them to play. Yang Santi shook his head and calmly stated his purpose and thoughts. Mian was happy. Grandpa asked you to come to me to come up with ideas, but you really just said everything out loud. You don't even know how to cover it up. What am I covering up? Who are we following whom? Do I need to play tricks on you? Just tell me if there is a way. If there is no way, I will sell 1 or 2 rolls for sure. I can definitely sell out. Yang Santi I had already prepared for the worst. Mian covered her snickering. Brother Santi, don't worry. Since you want to sell the paper at a higher price, then we will find another way. There will be a flower viewing party in a few days, and I will use the paper made by the ant to draw pictures and write poems. If you praise me again, other ladies will definitely be vying for it. It would be better if you can make some more tricks on the paper. Yang Santi was thoughtful and bowed deeply to Mian for a moment. My sister's words made me enlightened. Don't worry, I will tell my mother-in-law when I get back. If I can make paper that women like, I will be the first to make it, give it to you. Then I'll be waiting. After the two agreed, Yang Santi said goodbye. As soon as he walked out of Zongfu, he saw Sun Yuashan and others waiting for him outside. Why didn't you go back first? Yang Santi ran forward. Gong Haining joked, I didn't expect you to know Zhong Suejin. No wonder Mr. Ming gave you the letter of recommendation. If I had known, I would have thought of ways to please you. Yang Santi made a face. I didn't know that Grandpa Joan was studying politics. It's too late to please me now, but it's useless, ha ha ha. Everyone couldn't help but smile. Gong Haining laughed and said, okay. Today I will be the host and invite you to have a meal at Yangda restaurant. From tomorrow onwards we will study hard behind closed doors. He has said so, and others will naturally not refuse. As soon as Yang Santi entered Yangda restaurant, he asked the shopkeeper to serve all the signature dishes. The shopkeeper recognized Gong Haining and served him very attentively. Soon the table was filled with dishes, and the waiter introduced them. Yang Santi was the first to take a bite of plain-cut chicken and tasted it carefully. His expression did not change. He took another bite of cold salad but said nothing. After taking a third bite of roast duck, he put down his chopsticks and took a sip of tea. Gong Haining was worried as he looked at it. What? Not to your liking. The waiter on the side was also very nervous. Yang Santi shook his head and sighed, it's not that it's not to my liking. To be honest, the chef at your restaurant cooks very well. I just suddenly want to eat the dishes cooked by my mother-in-law and eldest brother. The waiter secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Gong Haining asked tentatively, Mrs. Mui and brother Ling can cook better than the chef in my restaurant. Yang Santi blinked and looked at Hua Yongnian, my eldest brother cooks at his inn. He has the final say on whether it tastes good or not. Hua Yongnian nodded hurriedly, that's not just delicious. My business used to be average, but since I hired brother Chang Song, the business has boomed immediately, and even the Mingjiang Inn opposite has been crowded. I'll invite you to try it when I go back this time taste. Gong Haining nodded thoughtfully. Although he and Hua Yongnian were classmates, the two families did not live together. In addition, the Gong family had a big business, so he had never been to Hua's inn. The group had a wonderful meal at Yangda restaurant. Before leaving, Gong Haining asked the shopkeeper to prepare a bullock cart and pack a lot of food to take away. As soon as they entered Zhuangzi, they heard that Yang Erden was leading a group of people to build a fish pond. Every man can't resist the temptation to climb mountains and trees and fish in the water, and the same goes for this group of scholars. Hua Yongnian immediately ran back to Ziwan, asked the book boy to find him the worst clothes, and hurried to the fish with a bucket. Pond. Behind him was Gong Haining's call. When a group of people rushed to the fish pond, they saw more than 20 people standing in the fish pond. One group of people pulled the fishing net, and the other group of people kept scooping out water. Yang Santi rushed to Yang Erden excitedly, second brother, I want to go down too. What are you doing here so cleanly? We'll be ready in a moment. Yang Erden refused. Yang Santi has already started to take off his shoes. Yang Erden. Several gentlemen are waiting nearby. The younger ones will gather the fish together, and you will be responsible for catching them. Okay, Butler Zhu proposed a compromise plan. Everyone's heads were nodding like chickens pecking at rice, and they stared at the fishing net without blinking. Soon the fishing net gradually came closer to the shore. The water in the pond was already turbid, but figures of big fish still appeared in the fishing net. They were densely packed. The small fish on top weighed 1 or 2 kilograms, and the ones below were probably bigger. Hua Yongnian exclaimed, "What a great harvest! Come on, let's eat fish tonight." The book boy immediately got ready. Yang Santi had quick eyes and quick hands, and he grabbed a big fish weighing 4 or 5 kilograms with all his strength, but he broke free, causing everyone to scream. Yang Erden brought a few net bags and a bamboo basket. Use this.